In order for students to reach their full potential in your class, they need to know why it matters. There are three types of students when it comes to student motivation. Group 1 already knows the purpose. Group 2 needs to be convinced of the purpose. And Group 3 doesn't see the need for a purpose at all. Group 1 is the only group that comes to you already motivated, and they see the importance of your class and your content. Group 2 needs to know why it matters. These are those students who say that they don't see why your class matters towards their overall dream. They don't see why they have to pay attention in your math class when they already know that they want to be a beauty influencer. They don't need to know scientific notation. And honestly, these are all solid dreams. But the problem is that sometimes we're not honest enough to admit that our content doesn't relate to your dream. And what happens is students pick up on this and they're sitting in our class unmotivated and failing to perform because they don't see the purpose for it. I'm going to tell you what to do about that group in just a second. But Group 3, they don't see the need for a purpose because they don't have a dream. They don't, and they have no reason to be motivated. This is the student that when you ask them what they want to do, that you'll get like a shrug or you'll get a grunt or something of that nature. They don't know. So to help students reach their full potential in your class, after you identify which group they're in, you have to do these two things. For Group 2, you have to admit that your content is irrelevant. And for Group 3, you've got to give them a reason to dream. So here's how you do it. But before we get into it, if we're just meeting, my name is Darrell Williams and I'm here to help teachers maximize student growth by developing their life skills, mindsets, and character. And this video is brought to you by my course, Actually Achieve Goals in Your Class. More about that in just a minute. So first, let's tackle Group 3. These are the students, again, that don't have a dream. For a while, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I always had a dream. I dabbled with being in the medical field, education, social work, theology. I was kind of all over the place, but I always knew that I wanted to help people. But not everybody shares that same story. Not all students have an idea of what it is that they want to do. Some students live life just by going through the motions. They just wake up and go to school because they have to, right? So we have to give them a dream. We can create a dream for these students by asking them these three questions. 1, what are you good at? 2, what do you enjoy doing? And 3, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? So for those students who lack motivation because they don't have a dream, open up with the conversation with something that's going to build their confidence. 1, what are you good at? Ask them what it is that they're good at, because now they're going to start thinking about the things that they're actually good at, and they're going to start building their confidence. And you can have as many things on this list as possible. Let them rattle off as many things that they want to list. What are you good at? We'll dwindle it down later. The second question, like you said, is what do you enjoy doing? Again, this list can be as long as possible, and you're probably going to see some overlap between the things that they are good at and the things that they enjoy doing, which is awesome. But let them talk about the things that they like to do. And then lastly, my favorite question, what would you do if you knew that you couldn't fail? Really try to get deep on this. Don't let them get away with play the lotto or something like that, right? Of course, we would all play the lotto if we knew we couldn't fail. But really have them get deep in this question. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Because honestly, that's really what your dream is. That's really what your passion is and what your purpose is. The reason why a lot of us don't pursue our true passion and purpose is because of the fear of failure. So if we remove the fear of failure, what is it that you would do if you knew that you couldn't fail? Because that's what you really should be doing. So now we're going to take all those things and put them together, the things that they're good at, the things that they enjoy doing, and the things that they would do if they knew they couldn't fail, and help them dwindle it down to a dream that they can have for themselves. And once they create a dream, they're no longer in Group 3. Now they move into Group 2. And Group 3 disappears. Now moving into handling Group 2. But if you're receiving value so far, do me a favor and hit like and click that button down below, that blue icon, to subscribe, to encourage me to continue pushing content. Group 2 is tough because here you have to admit that your content is irrelevant, and that's a tough task. Like, we went to school for this. We love this. Like, math is my thing. We want students to love learning as much as we love teaching. But the honest truth is that not all students are going to love your content as much as you do. And the quicker we get to this realization, the quicker we'll actually be able to get students motivated. So let's be honest. Let's be honest, right? Help me out. Why does a future esports gamer need to know scientific notation? I'm on a scientific notation tip today. Why does a future esports gamer need to know scientific notation? And before you go crazy in the chat, Tim, don't go telling me how scientific notation is useful in creating video games and the vector space. I don't need to know all of that. And students know that they don't need to know how to create the game. They just need to know how to play the game well. So a student can put together the fact that if I put in 0 hours towards your math content and 14 hours on playing this game, I'm sharpening my skills on something that I actually enjoy and something that I actually see a future in. So the way that we motivate students that see no value in the content that we teach is by admitting that our content is irrelevant, but the experience is irreplaceable. Like, is a gamer a lucrative career? Yes, it is, absolutely. And if you look at the outlook of gaming and esports, it's actually just gonna continue to increase. It is a lucrative career, but being a gamer is not just about playing a child's game. No, if you want to make a career out of it, it's gonna take dedication to learning new skills. It's gonna take hard work on difficult tasks. It's gonna take sacrificing free time while you're trying to build up this business. And there are gonna be some moments where you have to face some things that you know nothing about and learn how to figure it out. Sounds to me like scientific notation. See, it's not about the content, but it's about the practice of all those things that I just mentioned. In every career, you're gonna go through things that you don't necessarily enjoy in order to continue doing the things that you love. And although on a daily basis, you won't be utilizing scientific notation, if you practice now, learning something that you know nothing about and sticking with it until you're able to figure it out, you're challenging yourself to set your future self up for success. And obviously, this goes beyond scientific notation, right? It goes beyond gaming. Whatever your content area is, whatever that student's dream is, admit that your content may not be relevant, but the experience of learning something new, the experience of overcoming challenges, the experience of developing grit, resilience, and tenacity is irreplaceable. And now once we share that with students in group 2, and now we give them a reason to be bought into your class and your content, now group 2 disappears and all of our students are in group 1. And when all of our students are in group 1, then it's time for the ultimate motivation tool, which is goal setting. And we love to use the ultimate motivation framework, which is the Smarter Goal Framework. And if you know nothing about the Smarter Goal Framework, it is amazing. There's a video that I'll link in the description below that you can watch that explains everything about Smarter Goals. There's a free lesson that I'll also link that you can use directly with students. You can send it to them. It's self-paced. They can use it. But if you're ready to get deep and understand why goal setting even matters, how to use a Smarter Goal Framework, and to gain access to tools, tips, and resources that you can actually use with your students in your class, then that's where my course, Actually Achieve Goals with Your Students, comes in. So sign up in the description below. But right now, I'm going to give you a free sneak peek of what you can expect in the course. Here we go. And I know that you're thinking like, man, this is a lot. Like, this is a lot for just one goal. There's a lot you want me to do all of this? I'm SMARTER, and there's 2 R's, and there's something I'm doing in pre, there's something I'm doing in post, there's things I'm doing in between. You don't have to do all that. A lot of mediocre goal setters set goals without doing all this. But if you want to be great, if we are pursuing excellence, you've got to go above and beyond. You've got to do the things that nobody else is willing to do so that you can have the things that nobody else is able to have. And not a lot of people are willing to go to these extremes to just set one goal with their students. And that's why a lot of people don't actually achieve the goals that they set with students. But by using this framework and by remaining committed to it, you can actually achieve the goals that you set with your students.